The Eagles are must-see TV. 29 million people plus tuned in Monday Night Football to watch the Eagles versus the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to continue talking Eagles. I got a special guest joining me today. Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live with your comments and thoughts in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live, Facebook, YouTube, you know the drill. Hit those like, share, subscribe buttons. It is free to do it. It does not cost you a thing, and it helps this great show continue to grow every single morning right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. I am your host, as always, Phil Stiefel, and you know you can follow me on all social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, you know it, at Beard and Knowledge. And we got a special guest today from Edge of Philly. Out of nowhere, I get a little DM last night. I think I should be on tomorrow. I'm off from work. I'm like, you know what? Why not? Let's run it back. We've done it before. My man, Pat Bernard, the Gobbler, Edge of Philly's, literally Edge of Philly's jack of all trades. I see you doing post-game Philly, Union. You're covering the Wings. You're covering lacrosse, soccer, baseball, basketball, football. My man, Pat, how you doing this morning?
Good. And let's not forget pro wrestling. But yeah,
that's right. Listen, pro wrestling too. That's right.
Listen, Phil. Once I saw, I was off for today, I said, "Hold on, I'm off." My man Phil runs a morning show. I had to hang out with my man Phil, and like I said, what better way to hang out with the self-proclaimed, what I call you, the mayor of Kennett Square? I mean, you do things right in that community, and your pizza shop. I told my guys on PM and the AM, I said we got to make a trip. Yes, that menu alone got my stomach rumbling. So, and I know it's only 8 o'clock in the morning, but I could throw down some wings and pizza. It doesn't matter what time. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. So, but yeah, we had, like you said, we got to run this back. It's I call the morning tag team champions. I do some of the mornings. You're Monday through Friday. So absolutely,
yeah.
I hang out with my man.
I think I work hard doing this grind of sports talk every single morning, man. And it is a grind getting up every single morning and talking with, as my man K1 says, Core 12 in the house. That's what we call my regulars. It's not 12. It's
Yes.
everybody. It's called the Core 12. Okay. And I love coming on here, but it's a grind doing it. But man, I think I grind. You work a full-time job too at PennDOT, and you've got 2 kids. I don't got kids, and you're doing literally any show at any time that Edge of Philly asks you to do. You are literally up at 12 o'clock at night doing post-game shows. Get up early in the morning, man. When do you find time to sleep?
A lot of people ask me that. They said, "How do you do it? When do you do it? How do you make time to And I joke around and I say, "Listen, it's easy. I'm Batman." You know what I mean? No, it's just what it comes down to in this business. It's just how bad do you want it, and
Right.
And how bad do you want to go and grow and all those other things and all those other tangibles. How bad do you want to do this? And that's what it's about. Self-promoting, get yourself out there. And of course, I see what you do every morning. Like you. Well, my man Mike, what's up, buddy? That's our video game show guy. But you do a phenomenal job. Like you said, it's not easy to. My man Mitch, what's up, buddy?
It's not Mitch. It's not Mitch. It's Mitchie Poo on this show. Whenever I see him in the comments, it's got to be Mitchie Poo. A lot of the young people in the Core 12 don't know what I mean, but there's an obvious reason why I call him Mitchie Poo.
Oh, people have heard rip the trip on me and Mitch being the NB protectors. So you were talking about staying up late and doing a post game show. Me and my man Mitch here Mitchie Poo did a post game show protecting NB for 2.5 hours, going to 1 o'clock in the morning. But like getting back to the subject at hand, like I got to give you credit, Phil, because like you said, it's not easy to get up every day. You could call it quits whenever you want, and you don't. To do this, especially Monday through Friday, you guys over here are killing it. I watch everything you guys do, especially you got guys, someone from across the pond getting involved. So I, more kudos to you guys. But I got to ask you, is it a code of honor on the network to have a beard? I mean, everyone I see walking around on the Philly Sports Network
Dude,
has a nice,
it's so
beautiful
funny.
beard.
You know what? I wasn't gonna do this. I had my power rankings because guys, just so you know, our agenda today, as always, we're gonna talk more Eagles. We might get into some Sixers. My power rankings are ready, and with somebody like Pat, nicknamed the Gobbler, um, we got to talk Thanksgiving dinner. But
Yeah.
Facebook memory struck this morning, Pat. So you talk about the beard, and this is kind of funny. I'm gonna do a quick share screen right here. If anybody ever wanted to see what the beard looked like before the beard, this is circa 2003. I'm the guy rocking the muscle shirt in the background there, and there ain't no beard, there ain't no goatee, there ain't no hair on my head. I was clean shaven, top to bottom, right there.
Who is that man?
That is on. I used to work on cruise ships as an entertainer, and they were
Okay.
rolling out these new bingo is a big deal on cruise ships, and they were rolling out these new bingo machines to do bingo. And yeah, it was my day off, and I was supposed to be on the beach, and I was doing bingo training instead. But you can tell how happy everybody else looks happy, and I'm miserable in the background because it was my one day off. But
Yes.
that
Well,
that
that's
is
what
what the beard looked like before the beard. Now we can get
it.
that off the screen and burn it, and never let anybody see it again. Um,
Yes.
what is up, my man? How you doing? All right, let's get to the topic at hand. And you actually said something
Okay.
really hilarious. Well, not hilarious, perfect segue into the main topic. It's getting back into this Eagles game against the Chiefs. The respect to the Eagles. Hell, actually, if you look on DraftKings, they are finally officially the favorite to win the Super Bowl at this point. It's
Wow.
shocking. They're getting the respect. The Eagles, are favored to beat Buffalo, but still ESPN analytics have them losing against Buffalo, have them losing the next 3 games. But I think when you're talking about the grind of doing shows and content creation, you used a phrase, and I wrote it down because I'm always taking notes. And you said,
Hmm.
"How bad you want it." Well, that is a perfect segue into the Eagles. The
Yes.
Eagles aren't as pretty. The Eagles aren't as flashy as they were yesterday. But I kind of feel like I would take this 2023 team over the 2022 team because they just want it more. They have more of the fight, the more the determination, more the grit, more of what you want in those hard fought close games. They're battle tested already. So, what were your initial thoughts after watching that Monday Night Football game about how everything pointed to an Eagles loss? Yeah, they still won the game.
You know what? And I hate to be that guy to bring the corny analogy, but if this wasn't the perfect Rocky one, um, if this wasn't the perfect Rocky one acknowledging movie, right? I mean, they had no business to hang around with a team like Kansas City. Kansas City, I mean, their front defense, their front forward work, just getting to Jalen Hurts and just putting tons of pressure, sacking them, picking them apart, causing them fumbles, all those other things. But however, the what this Eagles team has learned to do, and I got to give my broadcast partner Mike Lauro, who I do a show with Sunday mornings. He said he prefers this kind of an Eagles team than last year's, and I said why? Because last year they were coasting through W's, but what this kind of team does, they in every game so far, maybe other than two, they've been in a dog fight. It's been a grit down to the wire dog fight, and you know what happens? The Eagles will come out on the other side as the winner. And
Yeah, I mean,
that
you think about it. Last year when we lost that Super Bowl, I mean, it was still a close game and stuff like that. But I kind of feel like did they ever have those dog fights like they've had this year, last year? Not many. I mean, there was the Colts game was a pretty close game last year, but outside of
yes.
that, I mean, outside of that and the losses, there were no dog fights that they had to come back and fight and claw. And last night or 2 nights ago, Monday Night Football was it. And I want to bring this back up. Yes, K1, I saw this. Eagles Chiefs highest rated game in 27 years, 29 plus million people. The last
Wow.
time they had that many people on Monday Night Football, I looked it up, 1996, Dallas versus Green Bay. All right. I brought up the box score. Everybody's talking about Dallas Green Bay. No one's bringing up the box score. So after the loss, Green Bay fell to 8-3 that year in 96. Cowboys with the win got to 7-4. Let me just give you some of the names that played in this game. Obviously, Aikman, Favre, obviously were the quarterbacks. Dorsey Levens was the leading running back for the Packers back then. Keith Jackson, former Eagles tight end, at the end of his career, had the most catches in that game at 7 catches. You still had Emmitt Smith, Darrell Johnson, who's an announcer for Fox, Michael Irvin. This is during the phase of Dion's career where he was offense and defense because he
Right.
even had 2 catches in this game. I mean, some of the names, even Herschel Walker had a rushing attempt in this game for the Cowboys. Like, that's how long ago it has been since that many people tuned into a Monday Night Football game.
And you know what? Like I keep on brand analogy, and anyone outside the Philadelphia realm might not want to hear this.
I know who Brendan Schaub is, man, Chatter. I'm an old school MMA fan. I know who he is. I can see a little
Yes.
of the appearance there. I see a little of it, my
Yes.
man.
Yes. What I will always allude to, Philly equals good ratings. I mean, no matter what. I mean, heck, I was. I see you got the 5 labels of the Philadelphia teams here. When the Sixers are in the postseason, people, always chime in. The Flyers, when they're steaming hot, they become the talk of the town. Even the Phillies, we all know we were up late doing some post games and coverages and all that. Even the Philadelphia Union, when they went to the championship round last year, the TV ratings went up by 20%. This is a Philly passionate town. This is what people drive the remotes to. And again, this game, the caliber of this game, the top of the AFC versus the top of the NFC clashing. 2 good quarterbacks. We all know the story. I think someone's head is a little bit thinking about he was thinking about Swift, but on Monday he got a little bit he got the wrong Swift show because my man DeAndre Swift was running all over him. So
did you see? I don't know if you saw it. My man Joe Castro, Philly posted something he saw on TikTok this morning. It was from Dodgeball, and it had the scene in Dodgeball where the one character is like shouting to the cheerleader, "I love you," and he gets hit in the face with the dodgeball. They have Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's faces imposed over it. It's so hilarious. It is quite comical. And all the things you said, obviously, the Eagles fans show up for these games, and the Chiefs and the big matchup. I think it's a big ratings draw also, simply for the fact that if you're not an Eagles fan, if you weren't a Chiefs fan, you still wanted to see the Eagles lose last night. Cowboys fans tuned in. You saw Cowboys content creators, talking trash after the game, not about the Cowboys, just the Eagles. The Chiefs have a very passionate, hated fan base as well. In Denver, in LA, in San Diego, in all those areas, wherever the Raiders are playing this month. You know what I mean? So you had 2 of the most passionate fan bases with 2 of the most hated fan bases repeating the Super Bowl going. I mean, the NFL just has to find a way to just put Chiefs Eagles on Monday Night Football every single week.
Absolutely. Whoever's the booker needs to make this work every year. And it's so funny to me. It's something you just alluded to had me thinking. And there, when you're playing at your highest football, there's only 2 types of fan bases you only have. The ones who want to see you continue to dominate, and the ones who can't wait to see you fall. And that's what a lot of people are waiting for the Philadelphia Eagles to do. It's wait to crumble. I had a couple of Kansas City Chiefs fans check in with me from out there, and they was like, "Oh, we thought we had this game in hand." I said, "This is for you guys who don't see Eagles football, who haven't been paying attention to. This is what the Eagles like to do. Once I figured it was the 4th quarter and the Eagles are still hanging around, this is what they like to do. They like to get you into a dogfight because the Patrick Mahomes of the world, the Dak Prescotts of the world, have yet to be in a dogfight. And, they're when they're playing hot football, they're at their top. So when they get a ground out dogfight, this is where they crumble, and this is where the Eagles come up big, and that's what you're seeing right now. And I made some idiotic statements. I was saying like, no, look at. I was making a couple Facebook posts and tweets. I was like, "Oh, it looks like Andy Reid just owns real estate inside Nick Sirianni's head."
I saw that. I saw that comment.
And then it didn't age well. So
no, it did not age well, and I'm sure some troll somewhere will call you out for it.
Oh yeah, and I right away had my cousin Dennis call me, and he's like, "Oh, this didn't age well." I'm like, "No, it didn't." I jumped to the gun, and listen, this Eagles team is playing at its best football in dogfights, and this is what I love. So it's like you said, DraftKings is finally starting to recognize the Eagles, and a lot of people don't recognize the Birds. They want to look around and look for somebody to be the favorite son.
All right, let's get into some of these comments here. Yes, I did do the deep research for you guys. And yes, I kind of forgot Keith Jackson didn't just play for the Eagles in his career. One of
Yeah.
my favorite tight ends growing up. I think the Eagles make a statement versus the Bills and probably drop one to uh, San Fran. I think that means, or the Cowboys, because I feel the offense view. Yeah, so this is an interesting conversation, and I want to get back to this, but I want to fire through some of these other comments real quick. The
Mm-hmm.
defense is riding high, absolutely. Yeah,
Yes.
Shaq Leonard is now available. I know a lot of Eagles fans are jumping on that. I'll get your thoughts on that in a second too. But I want to know why he got released before I'm bringing him in, because that's a really odd late season release, Shaq Leonard. There's got to be something going on there more than meets the eye there. So that's just my thought on that. Yeah, sup TMC. Eagles versus Bills matchup. We'll get into Eagles versus Bears a little bit more detailed as the week goes on. But I want to get back to the statement from Eric here. I think the Eagles make a statement win versus the Bills and then drop one because they're not going to win the rest of their games, Pat, obviously. Um, a lot of people started talking instantly after the Monday night win that then Buffalo could be a trap game. But I think the Eagles, even though me and you and Eagles Nation, we're rolling high. We're 9-1. We're happy. We had a dogfight win. I don't think the Eagles view that. I think the Eagles do, as the end of this line says, they view their performance as a loss. I don't think the Bills game will be that trap mentality because I think this team knows they didn't play well. They got lucky. I mean, let's be honest, some of those drops and whatnot, this game could have had a very different ending. So I don't know if the trap game philosophy works this week. And I think they do try to go out there and make a statement this week against the Bills.
To piggyback with you, I feel like the Birds, they're and to quote, and I know it's two different sports, but to quote John Tortorella, don't overlook it just because you're riding the hot hand.
Right.
Don't look your opponent. Focus on take one game, step by step, take one game after another, and just focus what's next ahead of you, and that's why I feel like the Birds do it. I don't think there's. I'm with you. The trap philosophy does not work with this team. It didn't work last year, and we all waited for last year. When's the other shoe going to fall? And it didn't. It unfortunately fell at the wrong time. Um, but same thing with this Birds team. We're all waiting for when's that shoe going to drop? When is it going to? And it doesn't. I think they are going to make a statement game, but I don't know how they make a statement this past Monday night, prime time from the whole wide world, and the Birds find themselves in a dogfight once again, and rocks Patrick Mahomes. That defense ate him alive. I mean, granted, Jalen Hurts got rocked himself in that first half, but that second half, especially Hassan Reddick kind of set the tone for that defense. So I got to give the Birds defense tons of credit. Again, bailing this team out when it needed. So like I said, these dog fights that the Birds are finding, it's actually a good thing. So I think they're going to handle the Bills well. There's too much animosity that's going in the Bills nation right now. Too many things. They got a lot of question marks going on with Josh Allen right now.
Yeah.
So with that all being said, San Fran or Dallas, I can't worry about them. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't.
Always worry about the next team in
Yes.
front of you. Don't worry
Yes.
about the rest of it. And the Bills are the next team, and we'll get into it. We spent like the last 15 minutes of the show, and K1 needs to know your answers: Goodfellas or Casino,
Oh my gosh, K1.
or Matt Chatter chiming in Donnie Brasco. I think he means Donnie Brasco, but you know what I mean.
Go fellas, and yeah, Donnie Brasco is one of my favorites too.
Is it? We've had a lot of sarcastic jokes that Godfather 3 is the greatest movie of all time, even though none of us actually believe it. And maybe somebody is pretending to be sarcastic and really means it. I don't know. But I always put Goodfellas 1 as the gangster movies. I think Casino is underrated. Someone said yesterday Casino is basically Goodfellas, just more violent. And I never thought of it like that. And I actually kind of really liked that philosophy on it. And then I think we all in agreement on the show yesterday said Scarface is overrated for a gangster movie.
Yeah. I don't know.
Some people put it up there as one of the greats.
If I had
to name 5 gangster movies at least that are better.
Yes. If I had a Mount Rushmore, I had Godfather, Goodfellas, Scarface, and then I would probably go Casino. Right.
It would be Casino. It would be Casino. It would be Goodfellas. It would be Godfather 2, and either Donnie Brasco or Bronx Tale, one or the other. Those
Oh,
four would be.
yes.
I like Godfather 2 over Godfather 1 simply because of all
Yes.
the flashbacks to Italy and the Robert De Niro performance in that. I love Godfather 2 over Godfather 1. Just like Rocky 2. You brought up Rocky earlier. Rocky 2 is better than Rocky 1.
Yeah, well, yeah, he completes the story in Rocky 2, all that stuff, and then after that, it's pretty much toss up where you want to go. So, I mean,
Ask, is this the worst night? I actually saw, and I don't remember, maybe I know you're on social media almost as much as I am. Almost, not as much, but almost as much as I am. Um, I saw a national media person, I don't remember if it was ESPN or Fox, say this yesterday on social media that the Eagles are the worst 9-1 team ever.
yes,
And
yes.
my instant reaction to that, man, Chatter, is that's fine. I'll be the worst 9-1 team of all time as long as the end results keep ending in wins. I don't care about the disrespect. Well, I mean, I do. Actually, I get very
Yeah.
fired up over the disrespect. I want respect, but I'll take being the worst 9-1 team over being the best 1-9 team ever.
And you know what? It's Phil, you bring up, and I brought this up a couple weeks ago. I said, this does not feel like a at the time 8-1, but it does not feel like a 9-1 team. It does. It feels like a 4-5, 5-4. There's just been too many issues all around. You have a banged up, mobile quarterback. You have questions on the front four. You have questions on the offense. You have questions. Why is age? But here we are, and we're focusing on the negative things, but we don't highlight the good things. We don't highlight the fact that AJ Brown for past 6 weeks was put on monster numbers. We weren't focused on the fact that Jalen Hurts is taking his game to another level from the pocket. And when it comes time to scrap and the push tush, if you want, that's all been success. We're not focused on Hassan Reddick coming back from injury and leading the team in sacks. We're not focusing on those good things. Yeah, has there been question marks with the secondary leaving that middle wide open? But how many teams right now would love to be in the Eagles' shoes? Would love.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Something else that something else that's been irking me a lot about this team because we're getting disrespect as a team. But I see as more and more success, it started to like percolate last year a little bit in the national media and posts from other creators in other cities and stuff. And this year, I'm starting to see it grow more and more. Is the disrespect towards Nick Sirianni? And because of his outgoing attitude, he's high fiving fans in the crowd after games. He's making sure to meet every fan that travels on away games and stuff like that. Like, and he's always rah rah. He's shouting at the cameras and stuff like that. He wears his emotions on his sleeve, Nick Sirianni. I think that's the best way to do. I mean, we all saw him crying during the national anthem a year or two ago. You know, Nick Sirianni to me is a perfect coach for this team because of the way he manages different personalities. He keeps the big picture, but also in the moment at the same time. But what is it about Nick Sirianni, or is it because we're such blue collar people in Philadelphia that he resonates? Why does he resonate so poorly around the rest of the league? Is it because of success, or because they just don't relate to that blue collar, workman type personality?
It's funny you bring this up, and again, people want to spit on Nick Sirianni because, again, he's a young coach. People still might be living in that Dougie P phrase of him wanting to still be here, and I
Right.
get all that. But let's be honest. Listen, this is Howard Roseman knows what he's doing in that front office. He's not lackluster by any means. And again, we bring in Nick Sirianni, uh, and people want to say, well, he was only successful with a Shane Steichen and Jonathan. Well, guess what? Those two guys are not here. He's got fresh faces who's never been in these kind of positions. You bring in a Sean Desai, you bring in a Brian Johnson who's never really been up to the task of an OC, and yet we're at. And I've seen a bunch of people, even myself, have been calling out, what is Brian Johnson doing with this playbook? All these, and here we are, 9-1 at the end of the day. So he's doing something right. Sean Desai is doing something. Nick Sirianni, at the end of the day, is doing something right. Like you said, the end result is you are sitting 2 years, sitting at number one, in the Eastern Conference, in the NFC. In the NFC, you're
You
at
know,
number one.
look, you bring up. You're like you're great at segueing me from one topic to the next. Sometimes too quick almost. But Brian Johnson is, I kind of hinted on the show a little bit yesterday, but then I thought about it after the show a little bit more, and I want to continue talking about it today and tomorrow. And well, I haven't decided whether
Yes.
we're doing a Thanksgiving show or not, guys. I just want to let the Core 12 know there may or may not be. It's Thanksgiving. I don't know. Definitely not at 8 a.m. I am not waking my ass up at 6:30 in the morning on Thanksgiving, just as a forewarning. But something I started dabbling in, everyone's crushing Brian Johnson. You, me, everybody. But why did we make the Super Bowl, the national media said last year? We made the Super Bowl because we had the easiest schedule. And then we had the easiest path to the Super Bowl. That's what the excuse was. This year we weren't going to be as good because we have the hardest schedule in the NFL. And look, we're 9-1. How much of Brian Johnson's failures or criticisms from you, me, and everybody is because he's overmatched in the position of offensive coordinator and play caller? And how much of it is actually because he's going? I mean, the Chiefs are the number 3 defense in the NFL going into this past week. We've faced a lot of elite defenses so far. The Bucks, when we played them, were still a healthy elite defense at that point. We beat them. The Rams, we shut down Aaron Donald. How much of Brian Johnson's struggles aren't because of him struggling, but just because we're going up against the best of the best every single week? Does that make sense what I'm thinking there? Like, maybe we are being too harsh on Brian Johnson.
And you know what? You brought up a good point. Everyone thinks, we're going to have this year like we did last year, and people have to take accountability. This is a brand new face to this position, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we are too harsh on this guy, and I get it. Because everybody wants to see us coast through games, and like I said, these dogfights are actually what's best for the Birds because these other teams, these other contenders, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, and all those other have yet to face it. Had yet to face any kind of adversity and all this stuff. They're usually the teams going coasting. Not so much in the Chiefs' last game against the Dolphins, but the Cowboys per se, when they're playing against bottom feeder teams, they coast right through them. And
Yeah.
and you got to look at the Birds are the measuring stick. Look, they went to the Super Bowl, so every team in the NFC is going to put themselves against that team and want to give their best punch, and that's what it is. Look at the Commanders. Exhibit A. The Eric Lemony and Sam Howe. That's on the defense. They didn't step. But yet everything wasn't relying on the Eagles. The Eagles weren't in that fight. The Eagles are still putting up over 30 points a game. Whether Sean Desai runs the same formations, whether he runs, I'm sorry, Sean, Brian Johnson runs the same formations, whether he, has throw the ball 80% of the time and start running the ball. Like I said, they play very, very well. And like I said, we are a little harsh, but at the end of the day, you have to be happy with the result. Look at the New York Football Giants. They're waving their chest hairs because they just got a win over the Commanders for this past weekend. Well, Lottie freaking dude, you don't think for a second that Giants fans would love to be in the Birds' shoes right now, or any other bottom feeder teams like the Chicago Bears of the world and all those other teams? They would love to be where the Eagles are at right now.
We will get to Thanksgiving. We're going to talk Thanksgiving sides, power rankings as well. And I'll have some stories for Thanksgiving bowls as well. We'll get to that later in the show. And I think Eric is like the commenter of the day because his are spot on. This is another great one here. Because I think this is something we don't talk about enough is the fact that Brian Johnson's calling the plays, but it's not his game plan.
Yeah.
It's Nick Sirianni's game plan. So if anything, if we want to criticize the excessive use of bubble screens to wide receivers or the lack of running certain games or whatever we want to criticize, some of that blame does need to go to Nick Sirianni. So him saying he wants to see the coordinators have a longer leash so we know whether who's to blame. I get this point. I think it makes up for Eric's other point up here, which I didn't even put up on the screen, that Rocky 3 is the best. That kind of knocks you down, Eric, a notch. But this comment knocks you back up. I think it's a fair conversation to have because we're constantly trashing Brian Johnson. But Nick Sirianni has flat out said, it's my play design. It's my game plan. I've written the playbook. Brian Johnson's using my encyclopedia, you know what I mean, to run this game. Do we need Brian Johnson? Because if you think about it, in college, Brian Johnson called plays at Florida. and he made Kyle Trask was a nobody before Brian Johnson took over offense at Florida, and then he turned Kyle Trask into a mid-round draft pick in the NFL draft. Who hasn't even? I don't even know if Kyle Trask has seen the field in the NFL. I don't even know what team he's on anymore. But so Brian Johnson has a skill set as a coach.
Mhm.
We need to know this. What do you think? Do you think we need to put more of the onus on Nick Sirianni on this?
Yeah, and listen, and when the team goes wrong, Nick Sirianni is the first guy that'll say, "That's on me." At the end of the day, that's on me. Don't worry about the offensive coordinator. Like you said, this is all of his stuff. So whenever something goes off the rails and goes bad, that falls on him. That falls on him, and that's what I like about him. That's one thing about the Eagles head coach's mentality. When something goes bad, they fall on the sword. That's they don't point fingers. They don't say, "Well, it's his play." No, 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 no. He takes it. He takes it right on the chin. And that's what I can appreciate about Nick Sirianni. And like I said, the combination of him working with Brian Johnson, working with what fits, and all those other things, all those intangibles. And look, listen, are we not missing our tight end? And here we are walking out the other side again. AJ Brown not getting many catches in this game. And yet we won this game because people forgot a guy named Devontae Smith was wide open the whole entire game. Again,
That's what happens. You double AJ Brown, Devontae's going to go off.
Right, and the Kansas City fans and Travis Kelce were asking for a Swift show, and they got one. So again, out of the backfield, catching balls. Again, where has DeAndre Swift been for the past 6 weeks? Well, there he was Monday Night Football, gashing at this Kansas City defense, and there he was, making the best of his opportunities. Some players, I think, were like 29 to 35 yards of gashing that team. So, like I said, you have to be happy from the play calling on both sides.
I love this comment from Mister. How can we critique NFL offensive coordinators when we couldn't put together a playbook for the Pop Warner team? And I see, we're talking Thanksgiving and Turkey Bowl, and I see Duck say North Catholic isn't around anymore. That was the Thanksgiving game. For me, the Thanksgiving Pop Warner, I lived by Crowell Field, North Avenue Field, known locally in Seaking. Okay, and it used to be Holy Cross versus St. Francis of Assisi. Actually, I think it's St. Francis of Assisi, but we called him Assisi. You know, every Thanksgiving morning, and it was I literally had to hop over my neighbor's backyard fence to be right in the field to watch that Pop Warner football game every Thanksgiving. So that's I'm a Holy Cross kid. I'm a Clifton Heights kid. You know what I mean? So I'm right down the street from edge of Philly's home base right there. So I love it.
Yes.
We love the kid popping up in the background. I think it is cute. I think it's hilarious. I love how you got the green screen, but the green screen only works until the kid pops into the background. It's hilarious. Real quick, guys. We're at 11 likes on YouTube, only 4 on Facebook. We got 23 to 30 people watching throughout this show. Make sure you hit that like button and that follow button, that subscribe button for me, guys. Share this show out. Get more people in the conversation as we continue to fire through some of these comments. I'm like the Eagles of this chat. The disrespect is real. It is. It is. But, man, Chatter, you're in Buffalo. You're not used to it. You know what I mean? You guys don't have anything else to do up there in Buffalo other than watch the Bills. Packers get wrecked against the Lions. We'll get into that's why I want to do a show tomorrow, man, Chatter, because I do want to cover the Thanksgiving games tomorrow. You guys would use Aqua. Yeah, Aqua Bowman is still not being used. Aqua Bowman is Albert O. That's just what we call him on the show, Aqua Bowman. So whenever you hear Aqua Bowman, that's who we're talking about. I'm an 80s baby. Mr. T was my Hulk Hogan growing up. No, the scene of Rocky and Creed running on the beach and splashing water and jumping up and down like two schoolgirls literally is the worst cinematic scene in the history of movies. I will never get over that scene in my life. Just so you know.
Well, to Eric's point, I got to give this. Only thing I liked about Rocky 3 is they gave some credibility, some cameo work to Lincoln High School in the very beginning, and that's where I went. And you were talking about Father. So every year, Eagles face off against Father Judge, and every year Lincoln gets their face pounded. They do not walk out on the other side. They went up stinking up. So but that's horrible as well. So every year I'm alluded for a nice big fat loss on Thanksgiving to start my morning. But it's just like I said. the Birds though are like I said in a better place. A lot of people just would love to just be in their shoes. But yeah, and to my man Eric, I gotta know what's just saying Rocky 3 is the best of all the movies. I gotta know what's in your orange juice. Is it a little vodka? I
No,
mean,
he gave
something
a
else
pretty
is
good.
talking.
He gave a pretty good. He's a big boxing fan, so he said it was
Okay.
prophetic to what boxing has become when the beast becomes civilized. He's a dead man walking to the hungry lion looking to become king. So he gives a little bit more detail
Yeah.
other than just Rocky 3 is his favorite, and he is a big boxing guy, Eric. So I do know that. One answer. You don't get to describe why. We discussed this yesterday as well. Spears or Swift? You're older, so
Uh,
you're old enough to remember,
yes,
the
yes.
Britney days.
I would have to go Britney Spears just because in the mid
Ooh.
'90s, that's it's every she was like the first to pave way to all these
Yeah.
pop singers right now. So I would have to give it to the OG herself, just because she just paved the way, and that's every girl on my street want to be
Mhm.
Britney Spears or the Spice Girls, and it was like listening to get nails going up against a chalkboard, and
Hey,
that's how
I'm
it
old
was.
enough to remember Britney Spears on the Mickey Mouse Club, okay? When it was new, not on replays, okay?
Yes,
Just so you
yeah.
know. Duck, I think this is great. His play calling isn't trash. He's figuring it out and integrating the scheme is while not shocking the players too much. He's figuring it out, but still a bit suspect. Yeah, and also I think some of his plays that we criticize, like the excessive bubble screens to wide receivers. Yeah, obviously they ran it back to back plays. I think actually
Yeah.
on Monday night, and both got blown up. But the Devontae Smith 50-yard bomb or whatever it is was set up by those bubble screens. So,
Right.
because that draws the defense in. So you got to understand that he's got a plan with his play calling. It
Yes.
looks rough at times, but in the end, it's working out. And also, again, his play calling might not be as trash, like we said earlier in the show. We were going up against the number 3 ranked defense, yardage wise, in the NFL on Monday night. It's not like we were going up against the Carolina Panthers or I don't know who else is the worst team in the NFL right now. It wasn't
Right.
the New York Giants or whatnot. It was the Kansas City Chiefs. So people got to take that into account when recapping or thinking about how the game played out, the game theory played out.
And that, like I said, that's another thing to me, like how the game, like, and I gotta give the Chiefs their due. Yeah.
Oh man.
Uh,
Oh, I just
that's my
remember
man,
for
Alsa Fury.
yes, it
Uh,
was. I know. I know he's from that area. I know. I know. St. Brandon of
uh,
Assisi right there, you know?
yeah, I like I said, I gotta give the Kansas City Chiefs defense a lot of credit because that O line was something the Birds never seen before. Again, they were getting blown off the line of scrimmage, and they were winning in the trenches for that first half. And the Birds were just we're getting rocked. I mean, even there was a couple plays where Lane Johnson looked like he was getting blown by, and
Yeah.
yeah, again, what Andy Reid was putting together, and some blitz packages, him and Spags were dialing up for the Birds. It was a nice punch. It was a nice punch that put the Eagles on the canvas for the first half. But just because of my man Eric's boxing aspect of things. But
Everybody, see, that's the thing with the Core 12. Once one person criticizes the Core 12, everyone's jumping in the comments supporting
yes,
Eric just because. Just because.
yes,
Not because they believe it. And Duck saying, yes, Mad Chatter has plenty to do in Buffalo, like go to Canada. He can't even go to another town around Buffalo. He's got to go to another country to have fun. He can't actually stay in his town. My day one's out. Yeah, let's catch up. Carl Weathers called that the from here to eternity moment of his acting career. Face green, smiling. Dude, that is the worst scene in movie history. The worst
yes.
scene, Freddie Defoe. My man, how you doing this morning, Defoe? Uh, what sides? All right, somebody. People are asking about sides. All right,
Oh
let's
man,
take a little breather here before we get to my NFL power rankings and anything else. All right, so Pat, your nickname the Gobbler, which
yes,
obviously is perfect for Thanksgiving. You love your
yes.
Thanksgiving. Um, I hate Thanksgiving dinner. I think it's one of the most overrated dinners because I don't like
What?
turkey. I think turkey is overrated. It's awful. I eat turkey once a year on Thanksgiving. I'll eat 4 plates of it, but then I won't
Yes,
touch turkey the rest of the year.
yes,
In my house, growing up in a strong Italian household, there was
yes.
always a pasta course. There was always a
Yeah.
chicken cutlet course and on a pasta course on top of the turkey dinner. So I was fine growing up, but now it's just turkey dinner.
Yes.
Mashed potatoes are a must. Stuffing is a
Okay.
must. Great gravy is a must. But honestly, I could care less about the rest of Thanksgiving dinner.
Really?
Yeah.
So
Give me what outside the turkey, what's the first thing you're going for to put
okay.
on your plate on
So
Thanksgiving?
I give people the Gobbler playbook, and so first of all, I want to give the analogy because on Thanksgiving I earned this name because my wife's uncle saw me, walk out with a plate like this, and he just took off his glasses and went, "Yo, buddy, you know you go for seconds, right?" I said, "Buddy, I never had mac and cheese like this before." I said that this stuff is this hit into another level. So people were just people were like, wow. So that's what he's like. For now on, I'm calling you the gobbler because never seen somebody can eat like this before. So that's why I earned the name. But to your question, so the first thing I'm going is I gotta go line up the mac and cheese. I go from mac and cheese. I have it's like clockwork mac and cheese. Then I go to Yamalo. Yamalo is you get
What
the
the
mashed
hell is
potatoes.
Yamalo?
So you get not mashed potatoes. You get sweet potato and you put melted marshmallow on top of it.
Oh, I didn't
Boom.
know there was a name for that. I just called
Yeah.
it sweet potatoes.
Yeah, well, I think it's my in-laws call it that. Then I go, and I gotta go to the stuffing, and then I gotta go mashed potatoes, and then like I said, it gets back to the turkey. Just like you, I grew up in an Italian household, so you had the luxury, not just turkey, but you had the ham to go with it, and then by fourth plates in that 425 game by halftime, eyelids are shut. I'm snoring on
Yeah,
the couch.
absolutely, absolutely. So first and foremost, something I've learned over the last 5-10 years of my life: where did mac and cheese become part of turkey dinner? Because growing up, I never even heard of mac and cheese on turkey dinner. There is no such thing as mac and cheese at turkey dinner. I don't
No,
remember it. Never heard of it. It's just something I never heard of. But
yes,
everyone seems to do it. Everyone seems to do it, and I think we need to start incorporating it into the thing there because mac and cheese is great. I don't get the sweet potato anything. I think sweet potatoes are awful. I also think all the vegetable options like cranberry sauce is disgusting. Green bean casserole, everyone hypes up green bean casserole, but really, if you really think about what green bean casserole is, it's pretty disgusting. You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things that you wouldn't eat on a normal day that you eat massively on Thanksgiving dinner.
Yes, that's the thing. Like I love the Thanksgiving dinner. Like again, you get that, you get the football games to go with it. It just right. It's baked mac and cheese. So like my in-laws, they do a certain degree of, you know, putting the cheese and all that stuff together. So give me a sec. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, he had to jump out for a second there. Hold on. He just sent me a private message. He'll be right back. Perfect opportunity for us to get caught up on some of these comments here because I know there's a lot of them here. So we got there's a reason why Spagnola has never been out of work. He is always on someone's staff. Yeah, I think not enough credit on Monday went to Spagnola versus us criticizing, Brian Johnson in the offense. And obviously Chris Jones was the best player on the field Monday night. So I think there's a little bit too much onus being put on the Brian Johnson as a train wreck of an offensive coordinator and not enough credit given to our opponents. And I think that's a great, great, great points there. I can rock with that, Phil. We just need to see the Eagles put together a complete game. We do. We do want to see the complete game. But again, look at the strength of schedule. Look at the defenses we're playing, the coordinators we're playing, the players on these defenses that we're playing. It is what it is. Holy Cross, best offensive center and defensive tackle of all time. Tackled a future NFL running back in the maroon and gold. That's interesting. I like that. I like that. I didn't actually play for Holy Cross. I wasn't allowed to play football. I was told it was too dangerous for me, even though my brother played football for Holy Cross a few years later. Hey Apollo, you better take a look at this. That's right. What the hell? I don't hate Thanksgiving. I love Thanksgiving. It's the least pressure related holiday, but I just don't like turkey dinner. Have you ever had stuffing with bacon and sausage mixed in? No, but I think I might tomorrow now. I go both ways. My wife loves the stovetop, so whenever I do turkey, we guys do two stuffings: homemade stuffing and then stovetop because she loves her stovetop. And we'll make multiple boxes of it for her. Pat is a pro. Pat's great. We'll get him back in here shortly. It's sweet potato casserole. I've heard of it called that before. I hate sweet potatoes. I'm not sure why. Sweet potatoes are, I don't know. Hook it up. That's right. Forget about it. Um, the baked mac and cheese. It was brought it by the Irish. What was brought by the Irish? I'm way behind on comments here. Mac and cheese is a deep state. Uh, whatever. Yeah, I just never thought of mac and cheese at Thanksgiving time. Hell, I never thought of buffalo wing mac and cheese at Thanksgiving time either. The iconic, most powerful masculine handshake between Carl Weathers and Arnold. Thanos snaps the wet bromance. Oh, that's so funny. There's way too much to soak in that one comment right there. When I was in the Army, I spent several Thanksgiving dinners at Chow Hall in the desert. Well, thank you for your service, first and foremost. Secondly, thank you for sacrificing your family's vacation or holidays to do that. Um, but I'm sure they still take I hope they take good care of you and give you a half decent meal on the holidays, Thanksgiving specifically. So there was a Nana in my neighborhood used to do a turkey roulade stuffed with spicy Italian sausage and with roasted vegetables. Yeah, my grandma used to make some kind of fancy homemade stuffing, but she put I don't remember. It's been so long. I mean, she passed away a while ago. What was in it? There were things in it. I think she put ham in it, not bacon. And I'm not a big ham fan. And she put some kind of fruit in it as well. I'm not sure what. I forget. It's been so long. So we always had to have two types of stuffing because not all the kids liked all the funky ingredients. But I like the idea of sausage in the stuffing. I really do. Coach Phil, get in there. Yeah. Look, I did not play football growing up. Well, you got stovetop. You got to have stovetop, to appease the people that don't like the homemade. Um, dang, that's right. Um, my ex family used to make hard boiled eggs and spaghetti. I'm sorry. Um, so first of all, I read the my ex family part of this, and then I'm like, what? And then I see that's why they're your ex family because they put hard boiled eggs and spaghetti sauce. What's up, Pat? Welcome back to the show, my man.
No. Sorry about that. My son took a marker and it looked like Rambo running through the house, like he's ready for war with the war paint on it. I guess I don't know. So I had to quickly take care of that. But no, I mean, listen, you talk about again Thanksgiving dinner, and I got it ranked that. Believe it or not, I got that ranked number one. Because
Dinner itself. The
the
holiday is my favorite, but the dinner is probably my least favorite.
yeah, I mean, it's just. I mean, there's just just everyone comes in with their bags of goods, and this is really like the family time. We get to enjoy it. Just everyone. It's like everyone brings their best player to this game, and,
Yeah.
and so I really enjoy it. Like I said, the side dishes are great. The turkey is great.
Right.
Get your protein in. Like I said, uh, being in that Italian household, you got you got the ham, you got the turkey. So it's
You
all
can
out
never
there.
forget about you gotta have the anapas too. You gotta have a chopped
Yes,
anapas at Thanksgiving dinner.
yes,
Pretty much not just at Thanksgiving dinner. It's just a little bigger and more complex. Pretty much every Sunday you have an anapas. It's just a little bit more, low key on a regular day. I'm a
yes.
seven fish guy. You know what? We never did it
Oh,
because I've always wanted to do the seven fish. When I was a kid, I didn't really eat much fish. My understanding of fish as a kid was frozen fish sticks in the oven on Friday nights during Lent. That's all I knew about fish. Because my family didn't serve it really. I would love. I know my brother's wife's family does the seven fishes every Christmas Eve. And I've always wanted to do the seven fishes. I've
yes.
never done it.
I did bacala. My
Yeah,
my mom's side was a big fan of the bacala. I mean,
yeah.
seven fishes were just lined up at I would call it the big table because there was just and at the kids table it just you had a little bit of but I never really enjoyed squid, never enjoyed the clams,
Mm.
but the
I
my
didn't
my
back
mom
then, but now
grew
I
up.
do. I always tell
Yeah.
people like my wife's always like, my wife always tells me that we've my choices of what I eat have changed since she's met me. I'm like, no, my palate has evolved a little bit. That's what I like to sound sophisticated like that. Mister, you
Yes.
begged to play football and you finally gave in sophomore year. I begged to play football growing up, and I finally played a pickup game of football in college, and that's how I had my compound fracture in my leg. So I guess my
Wow.
parents were right that that was too dangerous for me and I was too fragile for the sport because then I almost lost my leg in a football accident. So, sometimes they're right on that. For
Yeah, I got
dessert, oh, go ahead.
no. I got to ask you, Phil, to join the conversation here. Let me ask you. You're a good 4 for 4 man. So let me ask you, what do you enjoy more, football, basketball on Christmas, uh, hockey on New Year's, the Winter Classic, or do you enjoy baseball on 4th of July?
Oh, you just threw the baseball and the 4th of July in there to throw me for a curveball. I prefer
Yeah.
football on Thanksgiving, especially when the Eagles do not play. I enjoy basketball on Christmas when the Sixers do not play. On the big family holidays, I want to put
Yeah.
sports on, enjoy it, have fun, and not stress out. Okay, I prefer the
Yes.
football than the basketball. Christmas, there's so much more running around to do. You know what I mean? Like, you got to go from this house to that house. It's too much. But I will say, baseball on the 4th of July is pretty magical. And the once every
Yes.
300 years, because it doesn't happen very often, but when Easter falls on Masters Sunday, it's only happened a few times. But I'm a
Yes.
big golf guy. I host a golf podcast. When the Masters falls on Easter Sunday, that to me, having Easter dinner and watching Tiger, what last time it wasn't Tiger, but watching someone
Right.
like Tiger walk up to the 18th green at Augusta on Easter, that is that's the perfect sports thing to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Like I said, so if I had to rank them, believe it or not, again, I don't know, it's because I'm a hockey head or whatnot, but I have to go. To me, I got to go to the Winter Classic. It's because my son was kind of born when it was just coming evolved. So, me and my oldest, we kind of have the bonding moment of it, and because but we love our hockey, so we usually have we have a nice meal. It's the 4th of July. I'm sorry, the New Year's meal going on. We have and it's always tradition. Now we have to have a bowl of ice cream to go with it. So we have that going. We have that bonding thing going on. But if I had to rank it, I have to. I'm a little weird, so I would have to go Winter Classic, 4th of July, because 4th of July, you got the meals, you got the family, you got the lawn mowing, you got the pools going off, and then you can just be indoors or outdoors watching the game.
Mhm.
All that, and then of course you end it off with the fireworks. You have
Yep.
that, and then of course. Thanksgiving, of course, and then of course you got basketball. I mean, presents in basketball, you have to be excited for.
Do you prefer when your teams play or don't play?
I prefer playing
Okay.
because
All right.
but like you said, that could go either way because if
Yeah, I
they're
mean, you
playing
you get
great,
a fired up family after a few glasses of wine after Thanksgiving dinner, and the Eagles are that 4 o'clock game. There's
yes,
some broken TVs coming. Peanut,
yes,
there
yes,
green bean casserole. Everyone says is good. Green bean casserole. It's just green beans with crap mixed into it. It is not good. I'll eat it on Thanksgiving if it's there. I'll say, "Oh, this is so good." But then when I think about it 5 minutes later, I'm like, "That's disgusting."
right.
Mike
So,
wants to know if you played with them on Thanksgiving down Devereaux.
I've probably done, Mike. I probably played tons of football, street football down Devereaux. Mike, you know the rules. You play against the three lights in Devereaux Park. Um, yeah, it was always exciting down Devereaux. Like I said, to explore that, sunrises to street lights come on. You're always down there having a good time, playing all sports. So that's where my passion comes from. But yeah, getting back to what you say, yeah, about having your team play on either way, I would have to say, yeah, I enjoy it because going back a few years, well, now it's almost a decade when you think about it. Uh, the one that sticks out to me is my wife and her uncle are Cowboys fans. I know that's a criminal scene on my part to allowing that to be married to, but when I saw good cook on the resume, she got the job. So, but when Sanchez you know, lit up, back up the Sanchez lit up that Cowboys team on Thanksgiving. My wife, my uncle, just like they turned melted into the leather couches, and they had nothing to say. I looked at them like, wow, sounds like a library in here. What's going on? So yeah, the complimentary of eating well and your team going off. Yeah, what recipe for success?
Uh, Mike wants to get together a game for next year for Thanksgiving. I think we need to put together an Edge of Philly versus
Yes.
Philadelphia Sports Network flag football game.
Well,
I bet you I bet you we get ABC 6 ABC, NBC 10. Everyone will come out to record and film and give press on the edge of Philly versus PSN flag football game. I guarantee it will be the biggest football event outside of the Super Bowl in Philly next year. Guaranteed.
more likely, but hey, Mike, I got to give it to you, buddy. PSN here would probably win because half the guys on the roster on edge of Philly probably couldn't run more than 3 yards. So,
Dude, if you've never heard me talk about it, Pat. So in college, senior year of college, I was playing a pickup game of football, and we had an odd number, so I was the designated quarterback for both teams.
okay.
So no reason to blitz me because I was also your teammate. I got clipped as a quarterback. I didn't think anybody was blitzing, and I got clipped from behind. My heel, my right heel, touched my kneecap. Just imagine your heel touching your kneecap. How hard your leg has to break for that to happen.
Wow. Oh man, that sucks.
I couldn't run three feet, let alone 3 yards at this point.
Yeah, I think half the guys on my team would be thinking about within 3 minutes of the game, like, when's this over? When can we get something to eat? So, yeah, that unfortunately, I think that would happen.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think any of us. I think we got to find something a little less. I prefer to go play 18 holes of golf than play football at this point in my life. Honestly, we never talk family business at the table.
Yes, absolutely.
Never talk business at the table.
Now, if PSN was versus EOP and maybe a Madden game, that might be more suitable. But as far as athletic wise, I don't know. I've seen half the buys around here, and yeah, it's not looking good on this side.
All right, let's move on here. We are now almost. We're going to do a premature one, K1 here. Hard reset time. You're watching Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe and follow button. We got 11 likes on YouTube, 5 on Facebook. Like, shares, and follows, subscribes. They help us greatly. I greatly appreciate you guys doing that. I am Phil Stiefel, and we got Pat from Ambler, Pat Bernard, Edge of Philly, right here sitting next to me. We're talking Eagles, Chiefs. We're talking everything. Thanksgiving dinner. We might get into the Sixers in a little bit here. But as always, on Wednesday, it's NFL Power Rankings, Week 12 edition, released right now. Let me put them up on the screen. I don't think Pat might have seen them on social media last night, but we're putting them up on the screen here. And, of course, no doubt about it, I've got the Eagles number 1 in my Power Rankings. I did not drop the Chiefs out of the number 2 spot this week, Pat. I'm not sure your thoughts on that. We'll get to that in a second. We're going to do the top 5, and then we'll go over the rest. I left the Lions at 3 and the Ravens at 4. I know a lot of people think the Ravens should be above the Lions. And I still got the Dolphins at 5. I know a lot of people think the Dolphins are frauds. I'm a fan of the Dolphins offense. I still think once playoffs come around, they're going to be still a pretty solid, dangerous team in the playoffs. But thoughts on the top portion of this power rankings?
When I look at it, I can't really argue it. I mean, I think it may be perfect. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for checking in, bud.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
It's hard to argue this. I mean, it's because I want to move. I would love to move just because the love for Dougie P. But I mean, that 8 spot is perfect. The Cowboys behind the Niners, yeah, I can agree that. The Dolphins being right where they are, you could make a case if you want to flip flop them between them and the Ravens, that's fine. But again, and the Lions, again, you could possibly want to maybe the way that team is just steamrolling and playing for their coach and all those good intangibles, you may want to flip that for number 2 as well. But I mean, yeah, I mean, look, after what I saw from Andy Reid, Spags, Patrick Mahomes, the whole 9, even with all the deficiencies, even though it seems like the past 2 weeks now the Chiefs hasn't been able to score in the second half. Yeah, I still have to leave.
I want to pull this comment up from K1 here. Lions barely beat the freaking Bears. Yeah, I know, but they did win. And if the Eagles barely beat the Bears, K1, we'd be talking about, hey, they got the win. They found a way to win. Great teams find ways to win. So it doesn't work argument-wise to say it's okay to barely beat an average or bad team for the Eagles, but then hold that against the other team. So the Lions are still winning games. I think this is the first week I did not question what 10 teams to put in. I even question myself on how I rank these, but I didn't question the 10 teams. Like I think
Yeah,
it was without a doubt these 10 teams. I put the Vikings, Seahawks, Bills at the bottom as questionable. But I think the power rankings and how they've every single week, I'm dropping 2 or 3 teams out of the top 10, adding 2 or 3 teams into the top 10 every single week. Just goes to show how average the NFL really is this year. How it's just everybody's even Steven this year outside of the Eagles at the top of the board. There's a lot of Bears are frauds coming in here. Comments. I can't get behind that. I think I agree. I almost put the Lions too above the Chiefs. I almost did. I
and
almost dropped the Chiefs down to 4 because the Ravens defense is pretty legit as well.
yes, absolutely. And listen to K1's point. Listen, I get it. They barely beat the Bears, but you got to remember, like every division game is always going to be a dogfight. No matter what the records
Yes,
are and stats are,
absolutely.
you got to circle in two teams that know each other. All those X factors come into play. You have to just you got to look. And the Birds barely beat the Commanders. So what are we
Mhm.
talking about here? You know what I mean? So, but at the end of the day, the Birds won. So, but yeah, like I said, those divisional games, you just can't write off saying,
Exactly.
yeah, this is going to be an
Any
easy day.
given Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Any given Sunday is specifically very accurate. And yes, I get this. Ravens without Andrews aren't going anywhere, but this is not the where are they going team. This is the power rankings of this moment. This is
Yes.
where they are right now. Now, in 2 weeks, 2 games without. Well, I think they got to buy in a few weeks. But anyway, the next 2 or 3 weeks, the Ravens might drop down here for sure. But also, and everybody likes to call this team a fraud, that team a fraud. Honestly, isn't every team not named the Eagles, Chiefs, and maybe Lions really frauds? Do any of these teams really stand a chance against the Eagles or the Chiefs come playoff time? Like, I know on any given Sunday, as Nick said, and that's right, but realistically speaking, how many teams really even have a chance to even make a run to the Super Bowl? I mean, there's 10 teams here. I can see one, two, three, four. I can see 6 of them maybe get into their respective conference championship game, and that's it. Like the Browns aren't going to make it to the championship game. The Texans, I love it. It's a great story. They're not making it to a championship game. The Jags, they're not. Dougie P is great and Trevor Lawrence
Yes.
is cool and all, but he's not. He's not getting through the Dolphins, Ravens, and the Chiefs in the playoffs. The Cowboys, we know they'll collapse in their first or second game of the playoffs. You know, there's no. I hate the word fraud. I really do, but there really are a lot of teams that have no chance, really.
Right, and again, these like you mentioned, you mentioned the top of the food chain, and then you get into the rest of the again contenders, if you will. Listen, the record is what they say they are, and again,
Absolutely.
going back to that point of again going back to that divisional matchup again. If it wasn't for a Brandon Graham sighting or the costly mistake that Dak Prescott made it towards that end. Again, this
Mhm.
Dak Prescott was steamrolling and had the Birds
Mhm.
on the ropes. Luckily the Birds came up tight in that red zone. So I mean, just imagine if the Cowboys would have won that game. What would we have been talking about here? Could a lot of people stomach the fact that the Cowboys could be sitting at the top of the mountain? Who, or at least be sitting ahead of the Birds? No. So you got
I
to
mean, I
give.
think you could also. I don't know. Are you a gambler at all, Pat?
No, not at all.
You don't gamble, but you know how like lines work and stuff like
Yes.
that. All right. So I'm looking at DraftKings right now, and I can't share multiple screens, but the Eagles are the favorite. They're plus 450 to win the Super Bowl right now. Okay. So for anybody that doesn't know, plus 450 means for every $100 wagered, you'll win 450. The
Yeah.
49ers and Chiefs are tied for second at plus 475. But
Wow.
then the next team, the fourth team in the favorite rankings is the Ravens, and that number goes from 475 on the Chiefs and Niners all the way up to 850. And then the Dolphins
Wow.
are all the way up to plus 900. And then the Lions are plus 1,000. So like there's DraftKings and sports bettors alike think it's the Eagles, the Chiefs, and the Niners, and then there's a huge gap
Yeah.
amongst everyone else. And you can learn a lot just by looking at lines and looking like even if you don't want to gamble, if you're not a gambler, studying the lines can tell you a lot about how a game's going to go or how a season's going to go. And it tells me there's really only 3 teams that have a chance to win the Super Bowl: the Eagles, the Chiefs, and the Niners.
Well, and look, to take a step further, a lot of Chiefs fans were telling me, well, get ready for the rematch come February. And look, that might be true. The rematch might be set for February, and I'm hoping this time the Birds come down with the Lombardi Trophy.
The the Lions, and I'll say the Texans. They're just not tested yet. Maybe they win their first round matchup. They get that win, get that playoff experience, and then they'll fall. I could see the Lions, depending on how the brackets, fall once the playoffs start. I could see them making a run to the championship game. But I think in Philly, Detroit just wouldn't stand a chance on championship Sunday. Well, then there's the Cowboys. No, yeah, exactly. You're making a joke, but yes. Look, the Cowboys, Duck, you know me. You've been watching this show for a long time. I don't take the Cowboys lightly. They're they're
No.
they're a team that can lose any game, but they could put up 40 against anybody as well. So you can't just say, but there's still a different level between the Cowboys and the Eagles. There is. Pat bringing
Yes.
it back always. Just the facts, man. Just the facts. And another compulsive gambler is born. Exactly. Hey, gamble. If you want to sign up for gambling, there's a link to my DraftKings thing in the bio of the show. You get some free bets. I get some free bets. If you want to gamble and sign up, use my link in the bio. San Francisco Chiefs, Ravens, and Eagles are the big dogs. Everyone else just looking the part. Yeah, pretty much. And you could tell by the ranking, the betting and the lines that is true.
Mhm.
Filling his debauchery. Yeah, I'm always trying to corrupt every single person there is in the world. Bookmakers only modify game lines a little based on news and who's play, but they know their stuff. Yeah, there's a reason why the books always win. There is.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I only bet like $1 at a time or $2 at a time just for fun. I don't bet hundreds of dollars. I'm no Brian Kay, and if you don't know who Brian Kay is, you're not a golf fan. That dude bets like $5 million a weekend on golf. Um, you can't lose if you don't play. You can't, but you can't win if you don't play. That's the other end of the equation.
Yes.
Gambling degenerate. I am a gambler. I don't bet big, but dude, I had 5 different bets on the Sixers game last night, and I lost on all 5 of them last night. So I
Really?
do love it. But I think all 5 bets combined were like $10. So it is what it is. What do you think of some of these teams at the bottom of this, like the Texans and the Browns? I mean, they're really great stories. The Texans and the Browns. Defense is really strong, and they've had their Deshaun Watson issues. Do any of these, if you had to pick one dark horse, because someone said the Texans are their dark horse, if you had to pick a dark horse, is there a chance that any of these teams or any team not listed here could make realistically a run?
Um, it, if anything, I would go. Mm, I would probably say the Browns.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's a great story. The defense are playing hard. You know, I like what they're doing. Uh, Sometimes they don't have like again they're not putting up a lot of points and all that stuff. But again, you want to talk about someone knows how to get into a dogfight and win. That's one of those teams. So I like the Browns to make a deep run.
Yeah, the Browns are one thing that I'll say, and I think it's a cliche thing almost because I think a lot of people are starting to say it. But defense travels in the playoffs in pretty much all sports. You know what I mean? And the Cleveland Browns have a pretty elite defense. I could see them winning games 17-14, 17-10, 14-7 in the playoffs. And I think that's why I do have a little bit of faith in them amongst any of the other teams, for sure. It's like trying to draw to an inside straight. As long as the pot odds are good, K1, you got to get right odds. Right odds to call, the right pot odds. I'll draw the inside straight occasionally. Browns defense is solid. Offense is right now hot and cold because of the quarterback. Yeah, I mean with
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson out for the year, whatever his name is they're playing. Sometimes PJ Walker. I don't know what they're doing there in Cleveland with that. Um, but that defense has still got them winning in a lot of games. 11 through 20, Seahawks, Broncos, Saints, Vikings, Bengals, Steelers, Bills. Wow, you got your Bills really far down. You are so cold on your Bills right now. Coltrane. I don't even think we have to worry about those other teams. Chargers ain't doing anything.
Well,
Seahawks aren't doing anything. Broncos, I don't know. Go ahead.
I gotta give Matt Chatter props. He's a realist fan from Buffalo in that area, and just to poo-poo the Bills and call them what they are and all that. And look, and that's obviously a Bills fan that's very concerned about what's going on, all around that team, front office, on the field, all those things. He's worried of what this team went from last year or 2 years ago to crumbling, crumbling. The Bills Mafia is it's not
Yeah.
no more slamming each other through tables or want to slam some of the players through the tables.
Yeah.
So they
And
got some big
coaches
question marks.
and coaches. I think Sean McDermott will go through a table at some point.
Yeah, they got big question marks out there.
This is interesting. Their Super Bowl window. I don't think their Super Bowl window ever opened up because I don't know. They've fallen short every single time. Eventually, I mean, we look back on the Don McNabb Super Bowl era and long run here in Philly. You know, they always came up short. They're very similar to the Bills, and I said it before the season started, and I'll stand by it. I know Mad Chatters agreed with me um, that this is it for Sean McDermott. If they miss the playoffs, if they don't win in the playoffs, Sean McDermott's gone. He already
Yeah.
used Dorsey as his fall on the sword guy a week or two ago, but their window isn't closing. I think it's closed. I would not be shocked if the Bills miss the playoffs this year.
No, I'm not. I wouldn't be shocked at all. I mean, again, was a moment that they had, and they fell apart.
And I can see some of these names on this list actually dropping, like the Bengals without Joe Burrow. They're going to fall even further. You know, the Bills might keep falling. I still don't buy the Chargers or the Raiders. A lot of these teams on this list, it just goes. There's going to be some bad teams that actually. Honestly, if you look at this, what is it? 14 teams make the playoffs. So if this is accurate, this list, that means teams like the Broncos, Saints, Steelers all have chances to make the playoffs. There's going to be some really bad teams that make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, and that probably don't deserve to be there, but just because they threw that bonus wild card spot in there now, yeah, you're going to have somebody who shouldn't have been along there, and but like you said, it's all it takes though is just to sneak in that back door, and you catch some fire fast. So we'll see what happens.
All right, let me pull this off the screen here. We want to see Pat's pretty face a little bit bigger. So let me get that off the screen there for a few minutes there. But yeah, the NFL's average. I'm trying to run through my notes here, make sure I covered all the Eagles stuff I wanted to talk about. But my notes are a total train wreck today, so I don't even
Yes.
know. Saints will win the NFL. Oh, I thought that K1 for a second. I read that before I actually read it out loud. I thought that said the
Yeah.
NFC. I was gonna literally like laugh my ass off. I thought you were doing it. Yeah, I don't know if I picked the Saints to win the South, but I did. Whoever I predicted to win the South, I did say on the preview show to kick off the year would have a losing record because I think the NFC South is pretty terrible. But yeah, the Saints are not a good football team. NFC South, the weakest conference or division, probably. I'm trying to
Yeah.
think without looking at ESPN.com right now. I'm probably the weakest by far. A lot of
I, Yeah, it just no, to chime in with that. I mean, don't forget that was the MC lease not too far, 2 months
yeah.
ago.
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't happen very often, Duck. I mean, I know Eli took the 6 seed Giants to the Super Bowl and all, but there's a reason why it's only happened once, or twice, not often. You never know, but there's a big difference that year to this year. It's just not going to happen. Saints versus Cowboys, and then we play the winner. Who knows? Depends on how it shakes out. But I would love to face the Saints in the division round of the playoffs versus the Cowboys. I feel so much better about myself because the Saints beating the Cowboys in the wild card round
Yes.
would be like them winning the Super Bowl. So they might have a little letdown and make it a little easier for us. Uh, Pat, do his take on lack of finishing the sack. I always talk about the Eagles lead the league in almost sacks. That's what that means. Um,
Yes.
they need to wrap up a little bit better. And Patrick Mahomes, he's an elusive guy, but man, okay, if that is the case, we are getting to play the Cowgirls. I would not feel comfortable. I mean, I know the Cowboys were better than them, but man, they're still a good team, man. Does Pat have a strong take? Yeah, that was a show from last week. We're gonna get off of
Okay.
that. We're gonna not talk about feet today. Cover Diggs and Dalton Kincaid. You roll, dude. Yeah, I'm not even worried about covering them. Philip, you scared of Dallas? I'm not scared of Dallas. I put respect on their name. They won't put respect on our name. I put respect on their name. And I did. I talked about it briefly yesterday. Who was I watching It was Alex Smith on Sunday Countdown on the morning show there on ESPN, and he was talking about the Cowboys, how great of a team they were, because they only lost to the 49ers, and who's the other loss they lost to?
Wasn't it the
Not
Jets they lost? Or
no. They lost to the Cardinals, but he totally
right.
did not. They had 3 losses, and he mentioned the 2 teams, the 49ers and the other really good team that they lost to, and said those 2 losses were against good teams, but otherwise, totally ignored the fact that they lost to the Cardinals. And yeah, Phil, I think they call that stat pressure. I don't want pressure. I want sacks. I want sacks, damn it.
Yes.
It feels honesty. He like the doctor who tells you that casually tells his patient, you got 3 weeks to live, guy. Pats him on the back and adds good talk. I am so much nicer. I would say you better pay your bill, and if you couldn't pay it, I'd give you an extra 3 weeks to live on top of the 3, and just to make sure I got paid first.
Yes.
Phil would
Yes.
recommend a 3-week vacay and tell you to bet the mortgage on the Eagles. Sure, why not? You can't take the money with you when you go. That's what I always say. I'm spending it. There ain't nothing to do with it once you're gone. We play Dallas so much that they know us. People who know us are the ones that can really hurt us. I think that's a fair question, a fair point. Very fair, very, very fair point right there, for sure. You sound scared. I'm not scared of them. I just like to put respect where respect is
So
needed.
so this is what this is. It sounds like the normal Sundays with me and like Mike, because he's always telling me, "Go get a dog." You're always too scared, but it's not being scared. It's just I don't know if it's being realism or you're just being careful what you wish for, because
Yeah,
again, it's not like this Dallas team, has a losing record. I mean, they
right.
are putting teams away. It just hasn't been against really, really solid, good teams. Look, they're going to be right there. And two, just to put the catch up on it, division rivals. You never know
Yeah,
what you're. Yeah, it's a 50-50 game. Dak Prescott, puts up big numbers. It's not like he's some squash potato. This guy, when it gets hot, it gets hot. I hate to use this, comparison, but I call him the Joel Embiid. Because he can be really high, he can be really dominant. It's just when he gets to the second round of the playoffs, he just crumbles.
look, and so I was just looking at the Cowboys' schedule real quick. It was the 49ers and the Eagles. That was the other team that beat the Cowboys, the Eagles. How did I forget that the Eagles beat the Cowboys? I have no idea. But look, everybody mistakes my honesty or I'm a realist. That's what I am.
Yes.
And everybody mistakes my realist like nature as being a Debbie Downer or a Negadelphian or not having confidence. No, I'm just being honest. I'm honest with myself because I've experienced a lot of heartache as a Philadelphia sports fan. So I'm real with myself so that when the bad happens, I'm not quite as disappointed. That's all it is. And I just like to put respect on everybody that deserves it.
Yes.
The matchup is the matchup, fam. I'm not wishing. You mentioned Joel Embiid, so I'm going to catch up on comments. Then we're going to transition to a little Sixers talk to close out the show today. How does Dallas keep getting weak schedules? Dallas has a very weak schedule. I'm looking at Dallas. They played Giants, Jets, Cardinals, Patriots, then the Niners, and the Chargers, Rams, Eagles, Giants, Panthers, Commanders. They do have a tough end. After the Commanders, they got the Seahawks, Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, Lions. That's a pretty tough stretch right there for the Cowboys right there. So, their tough stretch is coming.
Yeah.
I don't know if both fan bases could mentally handle an Cowboys championship game. Yeah. I mean, you know what? The NFL's got to be rooting for it because if they're excited about Eagles versus the Chiefs getting 29 million views on Monday Night Football, could you imagine what an Eagles Cowboys NFC championship game in Philadelphia would draw ratings for? I don't care what network it's on. It would be 30 plus million guaranteed, if not more than that, tuning in to see that game. It might be higher viewed than the actual Super Bowl when all is said and done.
And with the beauty part is after the game, when the Eagles would win, all the roaches would just go back underneath the rocks that they come from, and just hide it until September. So
I would not be able to take a week off from work for this. When you have a pizza shop, you can't. But you know what? I always say 2 things, Pat. I say I want to see my Philly team win, and then second, it's what's best for business. An Eagles Cowboys championship game would be best for business, and that's all I'll say about that. The phones wouldn't stop ringing there at all. Panthers are the best. Yeah, I don't think so.
Oh God.
Heads of Philly sports. especially after that stupid McNabb air guitar. Oh my god! Why would you bring up the air? I have not thought of the McNabb air guitar in a long, 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 long time. Thank God, no more epileptic. I was just gonna say, transition to the Sixers. Thank God, officially the
Yeah,
Sixers lost last night, ending their run in the in-season tournament. And I couldn't be happier because I don't
same.
have to see the red basketball court anymore. Before we even talk Sixers, has the NBA really screwed the pooch with some god awful in-season tournament court designs? Because I've watched some other NBA games; they're all bad. Every city I've seen, they're really, really bad.
You know, to answer your question, Phil, I've got mixed emotions about that from people. Some people like it, some people want to puke on the court. It's weird. I've seen. Yeah, to me, I could do without. I could do without all the fancy designing that whatever you're trying to do. However, though, I wasn't a fan of this. I just thought this was as a mark off of the MLS for what they do.
Mhm.
But to me, I just find it, the games have been more competitive and all those, fun, tangible things.
Yeah,
But now that it's over, I'm curious to know, does low management come back in play and all those,
mhm.
those things come in. So like I look at tonight's matchup, right? The number one West Coast team, what are the Sixers going to throw at them and all those things? I don't know. I hope they bring their A game, but I just feel like now
Right,
with them being kind of checked out as in games, will they bring the same kind of energy, or are they going to play low management? Who needs a night off? Who
right.
cares? All those things. So it's going to be we'll see what happens. So
Yeah,
yeah.
man, Chatter, you're right. It's all about the merch. It's all about the money. And Marshawn, I think segues into something that I wanted to bring up. We've been very excited about Nick Nurse, obviously, this season, right?
Hmm.
You can shake your head. Yes, he's very good.
Yeah.
Something that really frustrated me over the last couple of years under Doc Rivers was the lack of a game plan when you have the last second shot of a game. Okay, and in
Yeah.
overtime, Maxi missed that layup, but whatever. But that Maxi missed layup led to overtime. And at the end of the game, you get a timeout. You got 7 seconds, 8 seconds left. And I don't know if you were watching the game, but they didn't run a play. They just gave the ball to Joel Embiid at the top of the 3-point line and just said, "Go work." And I know he's your reigning MVP and whatnot, but man, there was no like game plan whatsoever. Like, and it was the same thing that we've seen the last 3 years. I was hoping it was the first knock, in my opinion, on Nick Nurse that there still was no designed successful play to get a clean shot at the end of a basketball game when you need it to win. And that was just me. And I know he's your MVP. You want the best player to take the best shot. But come on, couldn't there have been some kind of like giving the ball, letting him dribble, dribble, dribble at the top of the 3-point line, and then take a awkward shot? To me, that was the first knock on Nick Nurse, in my opinion. I don't know if you noticed that or your
Yeah.
thought on that.
No, I mean, like I said, it's just like I said, a slight knock. And the only thing I didn't like in the past couple games, is the defense. I mean, for like 3 quarters of the game last night, it just looked like there was miscommunications. Guys missing, the zone defenses they were throwing out yesterday. Guys, Cleveland made it more of a game than what it should have been. The Sixers should have dominated them, but
And they
that
were
first
missing they
half,
were missing Donovan Mitchell last night as well.
Mitchell. So I mean, come on. I mean, bang bang. George Niang went off a little bit with I think like 10 to 12 points. Uh, you had guys. Yeah, I always alluded to about the Sixers being a great this year being a great rebounding team. You had the Cavs had 6 players with 5 or more rebounds.
Mhm.
That's not again that shouldn't be.
Mhm.
Again, so there's like I said, some deficiencies going on as far as first half defenses and allowing these teams to hang around. But the plus is that they have become a better rebounding team. Joel Embiid is just being a monster. Is again being an
Mhm.
MVP caliber player, making the best of DeAnthony Melton right now. I didn't think after Kelly Oubre went down, I'm thinking, all right, who's going to step up here? And DeAnthony Melton.
Dude, I've
My
been
man
putting respect,
Mitchell.
Mitch. If you've been watching long enough, I've been talking about D'Anthony Melton since the day we traded for him. Because I watched
Yeah.
a lot of Memphis games because I was a big John Morant fan. So when he was out a few years ago, Melton stepped in and started in Morant's place, and I knew then DeAnthony Melton had something special. So
Yeah, I mean,
I've always been putting respect on DeAnthony's name, just so you know.
yeah, it sounds like soon. Like if I had to give 2 stars in Philadelphia, for the month of no 3. If I had it for the month of October, a gold star, I would have to give it to D'Anthony Melton, Hassan Reddick, and Owen Tippett. Those guys have been playing well. So, but when I look at D'Anthony Melton's body of work again, being more consistent from the three, his 3-point game went up. I think like to 70%. Him being more aggressive in the paint. You saw last night. The paint was clogged, and he dunked over 3 defenders. He played a really decent game yesterday. So I got to my man Mitchie Poo. Got to put some more respect to that name.
Mitchie Poo. You're going to call him Mitchie Poo now every time you work with him now, aren't you? I think I've set something up. Never win on. I've got a lot of people calling out, because we never win on TNT. If you watch the game on TNT, why would you watch the game on TNT? It was on NBC Sports Philly as well. Now, if it's only on TNT, sure. But it was on both networks last night. I did not even click once. I think Doc Rivers was on the call as well, wasn't he? Last night, I'm not even sure. Yeah. But what grade are you boys giving Nurse after a 10-4 third place in the East start? I'm going to give him personally still an incomplete. I think it's too soon to fully judge. And we haven't had a full, complete team for more than one game yet this year. So I would say if I had to put a grade somewhere in that B- B range, I'm a very harsh critic. But we've lost to some really good teams, but we've beaten most of the bad teams. So I don't know. Where are you at grading Nick Nurse through 14 games?
I gotta give him an A. I have to give him an A for what I've seen. Again, we beat the Phoenix Suns of the world. We beat the Boston Celtics of the world. And granted, they beat us, but this Sixers team, I can't say hasn't. Like I said, so I've said this with Dives. I said Dives brought up about the fact that the Sixers team hasn't been that exciting since the Marco Bellinelli days and Ilya. So from the perimeter aspect, but as a rebounding team and someone always being wide open, this team has that level of excitement going on right now. I was going to be that guy who's going to be to use the frame of Godfather 3. I was going to be all out, but this Sixer team has found a way to bring me all back in, and
I like it. Once we're out, they pull me back in.
They pulled me back in, and the Sixers brought me back in.
See, my thing with Nick Nurse is, and I'm loving everything that he's doing so far, but I still see little glimpses here and there, and I don't know if it's Nick Nurse just not fully getting everybody. You got to break bad habits. They had a lot of bad habits under Doc Rivers, but you still see games like last night where they got out rebounded massively. You still see games. They've had multiple games with massive turnovers still this year, which they shouldn't be doing. They had out of a timeout, game-ending play. Still no game plan. So I've seen little glimmers of old Sixers still creeping in occasionally, and that's why he's right around a B. But we're only 14 games into an 82-game season, and I think we're still growing. We're still breaking bad habits. We're still, doing things like that. So that's why I'm optimistic, but I'm still very cautiously optimistic on this team.
Oh, and absolutely, as you should, and again, to see D'Anthony Melton step up. I mean, I would love to see some better productivity from the bench. I get they are what it is what it is. Sometimes you'll get a good night from a Jeremy Springer or believe it or not, a Korkmaz or whatever. But like I said, he's still learning this team and to find an identity, right? So you saw I would say beginning portion of this run where Joel Embiid couldn't play with the bench on the floor, where Maxey is a perfect fit for B-ball Paul. So he's still trying to work out some things and what unit works and whatnot. So he's still figuring out his rotation to try and get things work. And by the way, major violation to anybody who went Jeff Van Gundy over Kate Scott. Major violation. You go Kate
Scott over Total. Was it Jeff Van Gundy last night? I thought somebody said
Jeff Van Gundy on the national broadcast.
I actually don't mind Scott or his brother, Stan Van Gundy. I think he's actually a pretty solid, color guy for NBA. All right, we got to start the wrap up process here. We're at 9:30 on the nose here. We got Pat Bernard, Pat the Gambler, or Pat from Ambler, the Gobbler. I'm confusing words here now.
Yes.
To this thing, trending in the AM tomorrow. Thanksgiving annual beard bash. Maybe there'll be a show tomorrow, man. Chatter. You got to have those notifications turned on. See the bell at the bottom. Click notifications on. You'll know. If we do a show tomorrow, it will not be at 8 a.m. It will be later. It will be later. Maybe 9:30. Maybe we'll do 30, 40 minutes. We'll preview the Thanksgiving games. If I do it maybe at 10, maybe we can have a beer bash. Maybe I'll crack my first beer at 10 a.m. tomorrow, right here with you guys on the show. We'll see. I got to see how the night goes first. But we got to wrap this up. Tell everybody where they can find you and what I know you got like 7 shows coming up this week. So what shows you got going on this week, my man?
Thanks, Phil. Listen, you guys can catch me on Edge of Philly Sports, right there on all social media platforms. You can catch me. Matter of fact, on Thanksgiving tomorrow, we are doing a Phillies overall reaction from this past year. You can catch me on the Flyers post game show right after Flyers and Rangers on Black Friday. The Steel Steps. You can catch me on there for Friday nights at 10 o'clock. We are going to be doing a Survivor Series post game show as well. Catch me there. We got the Attack and Third for all you Union fans. 10 a.m. Saturday. Video gamers. On Devro Sports, you can catch me at 8 o'clock, so 8 o'clock p.m. and of course p.m. and a.m. talking all Philly sports. So yeah, I'm pretty much all over the place. And I got my hands on everything with Edge of Philly Sports. So
and of course you're right. You're covering the Wings and you're covering the Union on the website.
Yes.
So that's some awesome work there as well. Flyers
yes.
fans, yes, there are Flyers fans out there.
Yes.
Listen, we haven't played since we got to 5 games. We're still on a 5-game winning streak, right?
Yes, we're on the so me and Dives are having this major debate because I feel good having 5 wins. I do. He wants to see this team tank. He does not want them to lose. He doesn't want them to win. He wants them to flat out lose, miscough, and get a bunch of draft picks. I hear him all that, but it's hard to turn my nose at 5 wins and not feel good. I feel like the rivalry is going to be back between them and the Rangers. So you'll see that on Black Friday. Both teams playing very, very well. I'm pumped up for this Flyers season. Under finally a general manager and a president with a direction, I kept on not being more excited for this Flyers team.
Awesome stuff. I greatly appreciate it. I'm glad you hit me up last night. This has been a lot of fun.
Definitely.
Guys, maybe I'll see y'all tomorrow. If not, we'll definitely be back on Friday. Everybody have a great day. If I don't see you guys tomorrow, happy Thanksgiving. Again, like, share, subscribe, follow all social media platforms. We're at 14 likes only. Yesterday, we got to 35 likes, guys. We're only at 14 likes on YouTube, 7 on Facebook. Pound that like button. Let's have a great day, guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow. For Philadelphia Sports Network, I am Phil Stiefel. And, it's still always Go Birds.
Go Birds.